Yo, what's going on? It's Drnkie. Welcome to Drnkie Indie. In this video, we're establishing an epic lineage for our family and deep diving across the river into a castle for our early access review of Rogue Legacy 2. The roguelike genre of gaming has been one of the pillars of indie gaming for just about 10 years. Games like Binding of Isaac and Spelunky and Faster Than Light, they've all solidified how much room there is in this genre for a developer to really showcase their creativity. In 2013, the team from Drnkie Games made their mark on the industry with their hit Rogue Legacy. 8 years after that initial release, they're back with the game's sequel. So in this review, you will have my opinion and hopefully enough information so you can make a decision on whether or not you should buy or skip Rogue Legacy 2. If you enjoyed this review while you're watching it and want to give it a thumbs up, it's appreciated. If you enjoy the content here on Drnkie Indie and you decide to subscribe to the channel, thank you. It means a lot to me. Alright, this is Rogue Legacy 2, and here is my review. Rogue Legacy 2 was released into early access August 18th, 2020 by the developer Drnkie Games. You can find the game on Steam and Epic Games Store for the price of $19.99. So let's begin with story. When you think about the roguelike genre in gaming, the one thing I don't believe ever truly sticks out in anyone's mind is the story that is involved. In fact, I think the absolute best of the genre mask their entire story behind gameplay so tightly that you don't even realize you're being told the story. This to me is the case for Rogue Legacy 2. The story of Rogue Legacy 2 can really be thought of as the story of a family, and how many of that family's lineage are destined to cross the river with the mysterious charade to take their turn into diving into the haunted medieval castle until they more than likely meet their demise. Every area unique in their traits is a gameplay mechanic that is designed to let you experience your playthrough differently. But this mechanic makes every character that I play endearing to me. The vegan ranger who is colorblind and can only see the world in black and white has a story all to his own, and I'm owning the quest he's going on because of it. Another great storytelling device to use in Rogue Legacy 2 are the books and hints left behind by those who periled before you. Finding their tiny insights, while small, does a fantastic job of making the castle feel much older than when you just started playing this game. In reality, the story of Rogue Legacy 2 doesn't need to be consequential to the game, but in its own small little ways, it's made me appreciate the world and makes it feel like it's breathing a little bit and that's been lived in. I really enjoy the way they're telling their small story here, and I hope they expand on that. Graphics. One of the absolute standouts to Rogue Legacy 2 to me is holding in the graphics department of this game. Starting with the color palette of the game, I'm blown away with how much color is inside of it. The way the deep blues and purples are layered together while still retaining visual identity as they move against each other in the backgrounds is the work of a real artist there at Drnkie Games. The hierarchy of colors in this game does an absolute great job of constantly telling you what is important for you to be seeing as a player, but at the same time still having it all fit together and not being jarring at the least. The character and monster design in this game have personality oozing out of them. The characters who you play as all come off as heroes who are in over their head but still want to look the part of a hero, with the capes and the hats to boot. They're all extremely lovable, and it makes you really feel terrible when their death animations eventually do happen. The monsters are just as equally well made. Every design, from the lumbering giant knight to a floating hand holding a dagger, they each give off an attitude that telegraphs exactly what to expect from that character, even before they come to attack you. Animations and effects in this game lend to the precise feeling of the combat. Every sword slash you see, cloud of smoke from an enemy death, to the winding up of attack coming your way, they're all put together in this way that makes the experience just feel heroic and huge. And I just am so excited to be playing this game because of the graphics. I feel like a hero. All of this art is pulled together in this style that is overwhelmingly endearing to the player. This game looks like you opened up a child's fable book and watched it unfold in front of you. The artists at Drnkie Games are bleeding 2D and 3D elements together for a style that they're calling 2.5D, and it really feels like an evolution of the 2D platformer art style. I could play this game for hours and hours and still not get tired of what I'm looking at. It's a visual high watermark in the genre in indie gaming, and I think others are going to be looking to catch up to the style for years to come. Gameplay. It isn't a mind-blowing statement to say that a game lives or dies based on its gameplay. I honestly feel a bit dumb just saying that out loud, but I think some genres of games have their gameplay flaws shown a lot quicker than others. The roguelike genre of gaming is one of those genres where if something is wrong, then the player knows it immediately, and they're dealing with it on a constant basis, and it sometimes ends up ruining the game. It's the reason I think games which become beloved in the roguelike genre are actually some of the best games that are made in the entire gaming industry. I wanted to make a statement about gameplay in the roguelike genre at the top of this category because I wanted it to emphasize what I think about Rogue Legacy 2 specifically. This game is solid. It's one of the tightest platformers, Metroidvania-like games I think I've ever played. The precision of your character movement and the attacks are magnificently well balanced. The character that you're controlling quickly stops being an on-screen character or hero and really does start to feel like an extension of you as a player. Everything down to the turning of the character, to the swinging, to the way you impact with the monsters really feels great. So before we go any further into the gameplay section of this review, I just wanted to point out for the people that are watching this review, if you see the prompts on the screen for what button I should be pressing, when I should be pressing it, you'll see I kind of ran into this bug where it showed text instead of showing what button on the gamepad I should be using. That bug occurred on the PC. When I played this on my laptop, I didn't have that bug. I don't know what was causing it, but just know I did know what buttons to press. The game does an excellent job of showing it to you if you don't run into this bug. When it comes to the progression of your character and your own castle that you build in this game, I'm in love with the pacing that Cellar Door Games has achieved. One of the main critiques you could find about the original Rogue Legacy is that it was extremely challenging to progress through. The castle you built would oftentimes be a little slow to develop, and some players would start to lose interest because they didn't precisely manage their money as they were building. This feature turned off a lot of more casual crowd to Rogue Legacy, but that's been taken care of with a clever mechanic for saving money into the next rounds, but at the same time made building your castle even more addictive. Additionally, the upgrades you make to your character abilities as you play the game make every fresh run of Rogue Legacy interesting in its own ways. Hunting through the castle to just find that dash ability that you know is one room away but you can't get to, it kind of emulates the highs and the lows of the gambling, and maybe that's not a great thing for being addicted to it, but overall I really enjoyed the experience. At the end of the day, if I ever recommend a game purely on its gameplay alone, then Rogue Legacy 2 is one of the games at the top of my list. The hours that you lose trying to get a little bit deeper into the castle, build your kingdom a little bit higher, or trying to find that next piece of armor to give you 2 more HP is absolutely worth it. Sound. Sound in Rogue Legacy 2's early access release would most likely be the weakest part of the game in its current form. The initial soundtrack you hear when you load up the game is really good. It feels huge and it feels epic and mysterious, but once you keep playing, nothing really feels like it lives up to that. And that's not to say that the overall sound of this game is necessarily bad, because it isn't, but a lot of the sound and the music in the game just don't live up to what they're being matched against in the gameplay and the graphics category. For the research I've done, it seems like a lot of the sound effects in the game are just kind of placeholders in the early access portion of this game. Additionally, the soundtrack to the game isn't that deep either. You're really only in maybe 1.5 biomes in the early access, so there just isn't a large catalog of songs to the soundtrack for us to experience. I hate to leave a review category feeling shallow, but I don't want to grind on the sound design of this game, as it really feels like it's one part of the game that they're going to be making a lot of improvements in newer versions of the game as early access continues. If all the sounds stay relatively the same when we re-review this game for the full release of it, then for sure there are some issues that we're going to take it to task over, but for right now, I'm just going to enjoy the gameplay, enjoy the pretty colors, and just let the sound be its thing. Replayability. The main selling point of the roguelike genre is the amount of value that you get for your purchase when you know a game has a good reputation. While you might shell out $60 for a mainstream game that'll get you around 30 to 40 hours of gameplay, pick up a roguelike game, and for 20 bucks, you might find yourself wanting to play that game even after you've logged over 100 hours into it. So let's talk about Rogue Legacy 2 and its replayability. The big elephant in this review is that the game has just been released into early access. Your purchase implies that this game isn't going to be here yet. In fact, as you exit your first castle, you're prompted that the next area isn't available, but the area after that area is available for you to play. So you could make an argument that this is an issue when it comes to the game's replayability right now. All the biomes haven't been completed. Even the castle that you're building has upgrades that you're told aren't coming till future passage. So if you're the type of gamer that is alright with early access, missing content, and knowing that the content is coming, then this isn't a problem at all. If you're someone who is looking for a lot more content, maybe hold off for a few patches or the full release of the game until you give it a shot. But with all that in mind, I still feel like Rogue Legacy 2 has a massive amount of replayability that will give you countless hours of gameplay without even realizing that anything is missing. Buy or skip Rogue Legacy 2. Lately, I've been playing a lot of big AAA titles on my stream. Every game is this huge deep dive into a world and an evolution of a story that frankly leaves me feeling a little bit exhausted after I play it. So when I picked up Rogue Legacy 2, it was a breath of fresh air in my gaming. And from the moment I picked it up, I felt like I was addicted to its gameplay, and I tried to get further and further into its roguelike dungeons. If you're looking for a roguelike dungeon platformer, and you're alright with games being in early access, then I think you should absolutely buy Rogue Legacy 2. Hey everyone, I'm Drnkie, and thank you for checking out Drnkie Indie and my review of Rogue Legacy 2. I hope we gave the game a good representation of what it is, what I really thought about it, and that I helped you guys make a decision on whether or not you should buy or skip the game when you go to purchase it. If you guys enjoyed this review, think about leaving a thumbs up here on your way out, or checking out some of the other content here on Drnkie Indie or my main YouTube channel. That's it for the video. I'll see you guys next week.